shown at the beginning of the film. In 2009, college student Nick O'Bannon watches an auto race with his girlfriend Lori Milligan and their friends Hunt Wynorski and Janet Cunningham at the McKinley Speedway for their semester break. Nick suffers a premonition of an accident from the racetrack that sends debris into the grandstand, causing its front stretch to collapse. When Nick panics, a scuffle breaks out and several people leave the stadium, including Lori, Hunt, Janet, racist tow truck driver Carter Daniels, mother Samantha Lane, mechanic Andy Kutzer, his girlfriend Nadia Monroy, and security guard George Lanter. As Nadia berates the group, a stray wheel flies out of the stadium and decapitates her. On one of the nights following the accident, Daniels drives to George's house to burn a cross on his lawn, blaming the guard for preventing him from saving his wife Cynthia at the speedway, but his tow truck ignites him and causes him to be dragged down the street before it explodes. The next day, Samantha is leaving a beauty salon when a rock propelled by a lawnmower is shot through her eye, killing her. After learning of their deaths and similar disasters parallel to the speedways, Nick becomes convinced that death is after them. He and Lori return to the speedway with George's help to find the next survivor, Andy, but he is killed at the mechanic shop the next day when a carbon dioxide tank launches him through a metal grid fence. After Nick predicts that Hunt and Janet's deaths will involve water, George and Lori find the latter, who is trapped in a malfunctioning car wash, and narrowly manage to rescue her. However, Nick arrives too late to save Hunt, who accidentally activated a country club's pool drainage system and ended up being disemboweled by the drain pipe. 4 days later, Nick realizes from a news report that another spectator, Jonathan Groves, was rescued after the speedway's collapse. Jonathan had died in the premonition after being asked to move seats, but this never ended up happening due to Nick intervening. Nick and George track Jonathan down at a hospital where he was recovering from the accident, only to witness him being crushed by an overflowing bathtub falling through the ceiling. As they leave, Nick receives a premonition of a multitude of explosions at the mall that leads to Janet and Lori's deaths, but fails to save George, who is run over by a speeding ambulance before Nick could warn him. Nick runs back to the mall to try and stop the explosion before it occurs. Despite being pinned to a wall by a nail gun, he manages to stop a fire before it spreads to several combustible barrels, saving everyone. 2 weeks later, Nick, Lori, and Janet go to a cafe to celebrate. During their conversation, however, Nick starts to see more omens and alludes to the theory that the chain of events since the Speedway disaster was meant to lead them to where they needed to be for death to strike. Just as he realizes this, a loose scaffold outside collapses on the road, causing a truck to swerve and crash into the cafe, killing him, Lori, and Janet. The film ends with this scene.